Good day, poker peeps. This is Sky with Smart Poker Study. And in this video, we're going to use Flopzilla Pro to answer the question, how often are they folding versus a 3-bet jam? So this is a great video for you tournament players to earn more pots with 3-bet jamming, because 3-bet jamming in tournaments, great way to chip up. Somebody open raises, you only have 10, 12, 15, 20 big blinds left. 3-bet jam, take the open raise, take the antes, take the blinds as well. Add some chips to your stack, but it's really only a great play when they can find a fold. So we're going to be using Flopzilla Pro and the saved ranges from my free PDF preflop ranges cheat sheet. You can find a link to it in the description down below, or type in smartpokerstudy.com/range cheat sheets. So this is how often, or this is how we figure out how often they're folding versus a 3-bet jam. First off, pull up any hand in your database, whether you 3-bet jammed or not, but maybe a hand where you have the opportunity to 3-bet jam. You questioned it, you weren't really sure if it was a good jam or not. So we have a hand, King 10 offsuit. We're going to go through the action of the hand, see what happened, and then we'll review it with Flopzilla Pro. So everybody put in their 0.1 antes, small blind, big blind, King 10 offsuit. We have 13 big blinds to start the hand. A fold. Now villain 10 right here. 40/25. Raises first in 36% of the time. Raising first in the cutoff, 20%, 3 out of 15. But a very aggressive player. Plays a lot of hands. We have the opportunity to 3-bet jam. But should we have done it? We did do it. And I guess results-oriented wise, yes, it worked. We chipped up from 13 to now, if you can see that, 16.9 or 17 big blinds. We added 4 big blinds to our stack. Loving that result right there. But we got to ask ourselves with this situation, was he actually folding often enough to make this a profitable 3-bet jam? So in this situation, the first thing you want to do, have Flopzilla open as you're reviewing the hand. Give them a range. Ask yourself, what are they doing this with? So when this player open raise, think about his player type, look at his stats, raising first in, 20% in the cutoff, all that stuff. Let's say that we believe that he open raised with a 25% range of 338 combos. What you're going to do, you can use one of the saved ranges, but actually go through and ask yourself, would he play this hand this way? Would he play this one, etc. But just for the interest of time, let's imagine we think about our opponent. He's raising 25.5%, 338 combos. Write that number down on a piece of paper. Next, if you 3-bet jam, and here we did 3-bet jam, you want to ask yourself, what hands is he going to call with? Remove those calling hands, count the remaining combos. Those are actually his folding combos. Very quick example. He's going to call with pocket aces. Let's remove this. Let's say this is the only hand he's calling with. He's folding 332. We would type in 332 right there. But let's think about our opponent. He open raised. He left himself with just 10.5 big blinds. He's probably not folding kings, queens, jacks, or tens, right? Like he's going to continue with all of those hands guaranteed. Maybe 9s, 8s, maybe even 7s. It's right on the cusp. Let's say he's calling with those. So let's remove those. But let's imagine he can fold with 6s or worse. Now, in the moment when you're studying and doing this kind of work, it's up to you to really understand your opponent and think about what you believe he would fold with in this spot. Now, the other hands, let's start looking at some of the offsuit hands. I think he would definitely call here, here, here. Maybe he can fold ace 10 offsuit, and he can fold these weaker offsuit hands as well. So we got to keep them in the range. Remember, we're keeping them in the range because we want to be able to count the number of combos that he's folding here. We also think he's calling with ace king, ace queen, ace jack, even ace 10 suited, but all those weaker aces, maybe he knows a little something about us. Maybe he believes we'd only be jamming with the stronger aces, so he doesn't want to call with the weaker stuff. Let's assume now that this is his folding range. Remember, we removed the calling hands. You count the remaining combos, that gives you their folding combos. Right here, we have 238 combos. Their folding percentage, they're folding 238 out of 338. So the formula is already here, but I'll build it for you. Equals the amount he's folding divided by his starting combos. He's folding 70% of the time. That's a pretty good frequency. Just as a number, 70%, that's almost good enough for us to shove with a ton of hands, especially with hands that have a little bit of post-flop playability. I would much prefer this to be suited, like we talked about in yesterday's Flopzilla video, and you can see a link for that in the description up above, of course, but or in the video up above. But it is King 10 offsuit. We can hit a top pair. He's got plenty of potential hands that we can crack with our King 10 offsuit. Now, what we need to do is figure out our break-even bluffing percentage, because mathematically, there's a point where we need him and everyone else to fold to make it a profitable bluff. Now, break-even bluffing percentage is always your risk divided by the total reward. Formula is already here, but I'll build it for you right now. It equals, our risk is 12.41 big blinds. That's how much we are shoving here. Remember earlier, we put in 0.1 big blind as an ante, but we're not risking that. That's already in the pot, right? It's something that we can win. Right now, our actual risk, 12.41 big blinds. Now, over here is the formula. It's your risk divided by the total reward. Well, we want everyone to fold. Our reward is 16.91 big blinds. Divided by 16.91, bam. The break-even bluffing percentage is 73%. He's only folding 70. So if the folding percentage is greater than the break-even bluffing percentage, it's definitely a good bluff. This is so close, though, it's right on the borderline. I wouldn't say this is a bad bluff to be making. I'm fine 100% if you make this bluff every single time, given all the same parameters, what we think he's open raising and then calling with as well. Now, here's an interesting thing. We have him folding, just based on what we know about our opponent, 70% of combos. He's currently folding, out of 7 opportunities, 5 out of 7. That's 71%. Interesting, like we have him folding his range at roughly the same frequency that he's demonstrated being able to fold to 3 bets. It's always a good idea when you're actually looking at ranges and narrowing ranges. You want to look at those percentages because they're a pretty good indicator. If you're in the ballpark and it's near his statistical percentage, you're probably on the right track right there. Now, is this a good bluff? I think it is a good bluff. I would make this 100% of the time, all day, every single day. The fact that we have a king, we block him from having some of those ace kings, pocket kings hands. We even block him from having ace 10 suited right here and pocket 10s. So we've removed some of his calling hands just based on our card removal with our hand here. But let's see, what if potentially this player actually had a slightly wider open raising range? What if we can add this to his open raising and folding range? That's another 12 combos, as you can see, 238 to 250. What if he also has these 3 for 12 more combos in his open raising and then folding range? What if he has these 2 as well? Well, we just jumped up 32 combos right here. So now he's folding 270 combos. And also, he also started with more combos, 370, those ones that we just added. Well now, starting with 370, folding 270, bam, we're at a break-even bluff right now if we could just add a few more hands to his starting and folding ranges. And these hands, actually, they do make a lot of sense to me. These could be in his open raising range. But we said originally that pocket 7s is a cusp hand. And I agree, he can open raise with it, but maybe he can fold with 7s. Maybe he's tight enough versus 3 bets also, and with the situation, maybe he doesn't want to bluff. Maybe he doesn't want to risk his whole stack. Maybe this is the money bubble for the tournament. Maybe he can fold even pocket 8s right there. Awesome, right? He's folding even more. That percentage gets a little bit better. After we add those hands, it would probably be greater than the 73%. Boom, it's a good bluff to be making. And we analyzed it. We did all the work off the felt using Flopzilla Pro. So here's what I want you to do, especially you tournament players. Go through your database. Find some 3-bet bluffing 3-bet bluff jamming opportunities or spots where you actually made it that you questioned whether or not you should make it. Range them, count the number of folding combos, calculate that folding percentage, compare it to the bluff break-even percentage, and then bam, determine whether or not that was a good jamming spot. I bet you'll find quite a few spots where you did jam where it wasn't good. You'll find a lot that were good. You'll also find a lot of opportunities that you folded, or maybe you made the call instead, but 3-bet jamming would have been so much better. So, once again, make sure you get those pre-flop ranges so that you can save the ranges. It makes your hand history reviews so much quicker having ranges already built in. And if you enjoy this kind of work with Flopzilla, you've got to get my Flopzilla Pro course. smartpokerstudy.com/Flopzilla Pro course. Link in the description. Almost 4 hours of video instruction, 19-page workbook, plus answer keys to check your work, make sure you're on the right track. Some more downloads for some additional studies, and then 7 bonuses with another 1.25 hours of instruction.